Time for sport now with Tim Hipsley. And Tim, the Aussies are building up a solid first innings.
Absolutely, Hugh. Good evening. We'll have all the highlights from day 2 of the Adelaide Test, where Shaun Marsh and Tim Paine answered their critics with an impressive batting display. A knock to the hand wasn't going to slow down Tim Paine, smashing England out of the ground. Plus, it was a good weekend to be named Cameron Smith. The Aussie young gun overcomes a heckler on course to strike gold at the Australian PGA Championships. While another Cameron Smith guides the Kangaroos to World Cup glory, but a veteran teammate drops a retirement bombshell. Good evening. Half centuries from Tim Paine and Shaun Marsh have helped Australia pass the 300 mark on day 2 of the Pink Ball Ashes Test in Adelaide. Good evening. David Warner brought up a dramatic century to put Australia in a commanding position on day 1 of the Boxing Day Test. He had a ton of luck along the way, caught off a no ball. England's misery in the field further compounded by a 50 to Steve Smith. Rob Waters reports.
It was a great toss to win.
We'll have a bat.
And the curtain opened for the David Warner Show.
That's through.
Rob Waters, 10 Eyewitness News.
The Big Bash is back tonight with the Perth Scorchers hosting the Melbourne Stars. 10 commentator Adam Gilchrist is at the furnace. G'day, Gilly. These two teams have developed a pretty intense rivalry over the years, haven't they?
They sure have. 7 seasons in, this being the 7th, and they have fought out a few semi-finals. Last year in the home and away section of the Big Bash, the Stars came here to Perth, which no one wins over here, but they thumped the Perth Scorchers in that game. But the Scorchers got revenge in the semi-final of Mitchell Johnson, picked up 3 for 3, if you can believe it. So it's always feisty. There's big names on display, and it's a great rivalry.
Yeah, and how about those Scorchers the other night against the Sixers? It was an impressive win, given they were under strength. What is it about Justin Langer's team?
Well, that man, Justin Langer, he creates an environment that everyone wants to be a part of.
In the NBA, Aussie star Ben Simmons provided Philadelphia with plenty of Christmas cheer. He helped the Sixers snap a 5-game losing streak, scoring 8 points against New York, with the Knicks repeatedly gifting the guard easy buckets.
Porzingis has the mismatch, draws the double and throws it away. Simmons to the rim with the two-hand hammer.
Philly prevailing 105-98. Elsewhere, Golden State contained Cleveland, the Warriors winning 99-92. And Oklahoma City came from behind to beat Houston 112-107.
It is time for sport now with Tim Hipsley. And Tim, England is fighting back in the Boxing Day Test.
They sure are, Lachlan. Good evening. They bowled the Aussies out early on day 2, and Alastair Cook has finally found some form with the bat. Yeah, and it means the Bash brothers are back. Brendan McCullum is in fine form, and then there's Joe Burns, who wants to join in the Feared duo as well.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, the Heat lineup is very threatening with the bat.
LDV, Comanche and Wild Oats 11 are battling it out to smash the Sydney to Hobart race record. 10 reporter Joe Hill is waiting for the fleet to arrive at Constitution Dock. And Joe, when are they expected to come in?
Well, Tim, if things go according to plan, we should see the first yacht across the line a little after 8 o'clock Hobart time.
Good evening. Alastair Cook has hit back with a vengeance by scoring a double century and recording the highest ever score by an Englishman at the MCG. His marathon innings came with a little help from Stuart Broad and has put England in a commanding position in the Boxing Day Test. Rob Waters reports.
Joe Root wasted no time in reaching 50.
World number 1 Rafael Nadal is in doubt for the Australian Open after withdrawing from the Brisbane International. The Spaniard is blaming a long and gruelling season and hasn't played since suffering a knee injury in November.
And Tim, England are accused of ball tampering.
Yeah, quite bizarre this one, Lachlan. It certainly has raised suspicions. They were given an official warning from the umpires. We'll tell you who the bowler in question was after the break. The Mind Games have been in full swing ahead of tonight's Big Bash clash between the Renegades and Scorchers. Kevin Peterson is in commentary for 10 tonight. Welcome back, KP. This is going to be a spicy contest tonight, isn't it?
Oh, it might be, yes. Hodges dropped a bomb, hasn't he?
Australia's pairing for the Hopman Cup believe the Perth event is the perfect way to prepare for a tilt at the Australian Open. Thanasi Kokkinakis and Daria Gavrilova hope to make a huge splash this summer. Ranked 209 in the world, Kokkinakis is crediting a return to Pilates for his strong pre-season.
Flexibility still needs work. My downward dog's not great.
Good evening. England has dumped controversial all-rounder Ben Stokes from its one-day squad to play Australia, with no word yet on whether he'll be charged over a nightclub brawl last September. Now, we all thought the mighty Phil the Power Taylor could never be beaten. A 16-time World Darts champ, he ended his career in the final of the World Championships in London and got upstaged by a former electrician, Rob Cross, in his debut year. Yeah, so for shooting the lights out and shutting down the power, this 27-year-old Sparky can have our play of the day. I never thought the day would come where we're reporting on darts, Lachlan, but that was some feat, I tell you what.
Well, it's fair to say his performance was electric, wouldn't you think, Tim?
Absolutely, spot on.
OK, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Good evening. Glenn Maxwell's international career has taken another hit after he was left out of the ODI squad to face England. Although the selectors were much kinder to Mitchell Starc, with the paceman ready to spearhead the Aussie attack for the 5th Ashes Test starting tomorrow at the SCG. Nick Kyrgios has come from a set down to beat fellow Aussie Matt Ebden in a gruelling match at the Brisbane International. A persistent knee injury plagued the world number 21, who has high hopes heading into the Australian Open. More from Katie Price.
It's not the way Nick Kyrgios wanted to start his summer.
Adam Gilchrist is leading the commentary team for 10 in Hobart. G'day Gilly, can the Hurricanes be the ones to finally end Adelaide's unbeaten run?
Yeah, g'day Tim. Look, I think they are. I think we're in for a cracking game tonight.
Rashid Khan has been stealing the spotlight for the strikers. Are we forgetting about the BBL's all-time leading wicket taker in Ben Lachlan? He's 9 wickets this season.
Yeah, he has all the skills. You're right about Rashid Khan.
Today's NBA action pitted two of our Aussie stars, Ben Simmons and Paddy Mills, against each other. While Simmons has stolen the spotlight recently, Mills hit a season-high 26 points. But the rookie had 26 of his own, leading the 76ers to a 112-106 win over the Spurs.
Beautifully executed out of the timeout by Brett Brown. Simmons slamming for 2.
They may have both had the same amount of points, but Philly snapped an 8-game losing streak to San Antonio, so Benny Boy gets our play of the day. He sure is a pleasure to watch. And Lachlan, Australian basketball is good hands with those two.
Oh, bring on the Olympics, I say, Tim. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Steve Smith's incredible summer has continued, becoming the equal second fastest to 6,000 test runs. He was well supported by his Aussies teammates at the SCG, as David Warner and Usman Khawaja both had impressive knocks on day 2 of the 5th test. Team commentator Mark Waugh is at the Gabba. Thanks for your time, Mark. Now, given their performance the other night, surely the Bash brothers have to open the batting again tonight, don't they?
Yeah, g'day, Tim. They probably will. I mean, they'd be silly not to take advantage of the field restrictions in the first 6 overs where there's only 2 men outside the circle.
Time for sport now with Tim Hipsley. And Tim, the Aussies are well on top in the 5th test.
They sure are, Candice. Good evening. They're looking pretty comfortable at the SCG as the Marsh brothers put the foot down, but the day was set up by a superb knock from Usman Khawaja. A moment to savour for the number 3, bringing up his maiden Ashes century. We'll have all the highlights after the break. Also, a ton of fun for one of the Bash brothers. Chris Lynn smashes his way into the record books. Plus, canteen sensation Alex de Minaur continue his hot streak and reach the final of the Brisbane International. Good evening. Sean and Mitch Marsh have shared a moment most siblings could only dream of, bringing up centuries together for Australia at the SCG. The Aussies have a ruthless grip on the 4th test, declaring it 7 for 649 before our bowlers tore through England's top order. Absolutely. Thanks, Gilly. Melbourne Stars batsman Kevin Peterson has announced this season will be his last in the Big Bash. Now, they were lining the streets in Cleveland to mark the Browns' perfect season in the NFL. Only problem was, it was a perfect losing record of 0-16. They became just the 2nd team in history to go the whole season winless, and the Misery March had a full-on band, rubbish trucks, gravestones and some interesting characters. It's okay, we'll give them a participation award and they can also take home our play of the day. I believe they were also asking LeBron James if he knows how to play quarterback, but to make matters worse, they only won once last season as well.
Wow, I feel sorry for them. Thank you so much, Tim.
Good evening. Aaron Finch has belted a century for Australia in the opening one-dayer against England at the MCG. The tourist did have some joy, snaring Steve Smith cheaply, while the Aussies left out Cameron White at the 11. The weird world of Bernard Tomic became even more bizarre today as he failed to qualify for the Australian Open. After losing to a player ranked 218 in the world, Tomic told the media he was just happy counting his millions. Katie Price reports.
With the jungle drums beating, Bernard Tomic made his exit. Katie Price, 10 Eyewitness News.
Perth Glory's horror run in the A-League has continued, crashing to a fourth straight defeat. Coach Kenny Lowe's midweek blow-up at training wasn't enough to fire up his team against the victory.
And Tim, our Aussie cricketers are out to avoid a series defeat.
Yeah, they sure are, Lachlan. Good evening. They brought in their frontline bowlers for the third one-dayer against England, and they picked up some big scalps. We'll have all the highlights after the break. Also, the Ashtons deliver the goods again as Perth scorched the Hurricanes to lock in a final spot. The two Ashtons have starred again as Perth Scorchers all but cemented themselves a home final in the Big Bash. Agar took 2 wickets as the Hurricanes set the Scorchers 168 to win, while Turner was again a standout with the bat as the Scorchers got home with 4 balls to spare. Bernard Cohen reports. Now here's a competition for those who can't stand on their own 2 feet. These finely tuned athletes have been training hard for the Baby Race 500 at the Cavaliers Thunder NBA Clash and have thrown up, dribbled and burped their way to get to this very moment. Yeah, there were no dummy spits there from G.I. Charlie, who conquered the army crawl and is clearly ecstatic at being crowned the fastest crawler of Cleveland. One very cute play of the day, Lachlan. They weren't handing out champagne, they were giving out milk bottles.
Oh, good, a play of the day. We'll mention that at his 21st birthday, Tim. Thank you very much.
Billy Slater injured last night.
Yeah, good evening, Hewitt. Caused some concern for the reigning premiers with the NRL season just a few weeks away. We'll bring you an update after the break. Also, could a Kangaroos ruckman make a big leap in 2018 after starring for North Melbourne last night? David Warner back to form as the Aussies blast a T20 record against the Kiwis. And who's the new star of the track, running one of the fastest ever times by an Aussie at the 100 metres? David Warner has made a timely return to form, helping Australia to a world record run chase in the T20 against New Zealand last night. Kiwi Martin Guptill set the run scoring trend, smashing 105 off just 54 balls. Warner and Darcy Short returned the favour as the Aussies chased down the target with 7 balls to spare. Alex Malcolm reports. They call him Quadzilla, and Queenslander Trey Williams showed why as he stormed into the Australian athletics team for the Commonwealth Games. The 20-year-old ran the 4th fastest time ever by an Aussie in the 100 metres and the quickest in 11 years. Williams clocked 10.10 seconds to automatically qualify for the Blue Ribbon event.
The Aussies set to unleash the bouncers against South Africa.
Absolutely, Hugh. Good evening. It worked for them against England in the Ashes, and Steve Smith is instructing the same for the upcoming Test series. We'll have details after the break. Good evening. Aerial skier David Morris will tonight be vying for Australia's 4th medal at the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. The Sochi silver medalist qualified equal 5th spot for the final after a superb second jump.
Great fight from Morris.
Now, some went for the weird and wacky Black Panther face mask, while others were a little inventive to impress the judges in the NBA dunk contest. Cleveland's Larry Nance Jr. threw it to himself and produced a double tap dunk, scoring a perfect 10, while Donovan Mitchell from the Utah Jazz came up with this.
That's what we've been waiting for. Look at that. That's what you guys wanted, right?
Yeah, he doesn't mind the showboating either. Later channeling the great Vince Carter with a 360 jam for the win, and our play of the day. You've got to love the level of confidence in the NBA.
Not a lot of modesty and shyness in that sport, are they? But they've got wings on their heels, no doubt. Fantastic.